Story, the Gujarat ATS has recovered a digital video recorder from the debris of Air India Flight 171 that crashed yesterday in Ahmedabad. ATS stated that the forensic team was expected to reach the spot shortly as samples from the flight continue to be collected for examination. The DVRs in flight are used to record radar videos, critical flight information, as well as cockpit audios, which include pilot conversation and aircraft warnings. The DVRs provide an in-flight video recording system for security monitoring in commercial aircrafts and is key for investigators in determining the cause of an aircraft accident. Well, Captain Ehsan Khalid, veteran Indian Air Force pilot, ex-airline captain and aviation expert, is joining us at this point in time to talk more about this. Captain Khalid, I hope you can hear me.
You hear me now?
Yeah, I can't see you. I can hear you though. Captain Khalid?
Okay, my video is on though. Just to let you know the
Captain Khalid, you know, the black box will be found. It was just 32 seconds of flight time. That is not enough, I believe, to figure out what really happened, because when the pilots did realize that the plane was free falling, it was too late for them. In the middle of their mayday call to tell what the problem was.
Okay, let's take one by one. Black box. That's a generic term for DFDR and CVR. DFDR is a digital flight data recorder and CVR is a cockpit voice recorder. DFDR records last 25 hours of flight and each and every parameters, almost 1000 plus parameters are recorded in Boeing 787. Whereas CVR records almost 4 or 6 channels depending upon configuration that records the conversation between the pilots, between the pilot and the ATC, and any noise which is heard in the cabin area. Together they create a very comprehensive flight path, and they can find out the engine parameters, flight parameters, control position, switch position and everything. DFDR and CVR will be conclusively will come to a conclusive reporting, and there will be no ambiguity whatsoever. The DFDR and CVR are kept in a box which is colored orange, but it is called black box because the data inside goes in and only comes out when it is very badly required to be seen. The general practice in the airline and the regulatory authorities are to take these data at varied time slots to see that the aircraft performance and SOPs are being followed in the cockpit. In this case, it will be used as a post-mortem of the flight reporting. That is one part, yes. The flight was hardly 38 seconds or 32 seconds old. The aircraft was unable to fly out of the ground effect, and it continued to descend down to make an impact. For your viewers, an aircraft which is not able to do a flight in air is because of lift is not sufficient to keep it in the air. Now that lift may be insufficient because the speed is not sufficient or the configuration is not right. Speed not being sufficiently high can happen because of power loss. Whether it was partial power loss, whether it was complete power loss, we are not.
Captain Khalid, why do you think these pilots were not able to ascertain that something was wrong with this aircraft when they were doing their checks, when they're checking the declarations?
Right, even with the best of automation, it takes 5 to 7 seconds for the malfunction to reflect inside the aircraft. And from the time that the pilot sees a malfunction to the time the pilot is able to first action of the pilot is not to give a mayday call. First action of a pilot is to control the aircraft for flight safety. And that is something that they would have done for first 15 seconds. At some point of time, they would have realized that there is no way out and the aircraft is going to make an impact. That is the time they give a mayday call to alert search and rescue team. That is the sequence of event.
Captain Khalid, do you think that if the runway was longer, they could have landed this plane, or do you think that would have had the same repercussion?
We are not looking at any runway anywhere in the world which is 20,000 foot long. This was 11,000 foot, which is long enough, as long as it gets. The aircraft did take off and it did not. You know what happens when when the aircraft leaves the ground, even if the speed is less, configuration is not there, power is less, it can actually limp up to about say 100 feet, and thereafter it goes out of the ground effect, it loses lift anyway, and thereafter it starts to come down. I don't think that any of the reporting which is saying that it climbed a height of 625 feet is anyway correct. It looks more to be about 100 to 150 feet. Now that is the crucial height at which the aircraft will get out of the ground effect. For your viewers, ground effect means, there is a cushion of air between the wing and the ground, and that actually adds to the lift of the aircraft in coming up. But at about say 150 feet for this aircraft, that cushioning will all be over. And then the aircraft will actually perform depending upon the speed that it has. And in this particular case, the speed for that particular phase of flight was low. How low, I can't say. Now, there is something which is called lift augmentation device, flaps. Flaps are used to increase the lift at low speeds. These flaps, they should be in a particular position. They would be in the particular position that we would come to know. Okay, but God forbid, due to 100 reasons, the flap actually leaves from its takeoff position to up position. It can happen because of a technical malfunction, sensor malfunction, bird hit, power loss, electrical and hydraulic loss, and a software glitch. There could be at least 100 reasons why a flap auto retraction takes place. Auto retraction does take place, but it does not take place in the circumstances that we have talked. 30 million hours of flight that 787 has done till now, not even a single case of wrong flap auto retraction. But since it is mechanical, electrical inputs, software commanded, did something go wrong, some glitch which actually commanded the landing, the flaps up, and the aircraft continued to descend? Was there a dual engine power loss? Very difficult to say. What I can say is that yes, the landing gear did not go up. There could be two reasons for it. One, if you have a dual engine failure, then the landing gear will not go up, even if the pilot selects it up. In that case, you would find that accident investigation will show that the landing gear lever physical position was up, but the landing gear, those wheels that you are seeing were down. Wheels being down increase the drag, and it is very few circumstances in which there is a conscious call by the pilot to keep the wheels down. When the pilot knows that we will hit the ground. B, pilot is also aware that there is wind shear and we are going down, so the landing gear is kept down. But in this particular case, there does not seem to be a contributory weather factor that could have caused this particular loss of lift.
Captain Khalid, what does this also tell you about the Boeing aircraft? For a large amount of time, there have been concerns related to the Dreamliner. In fact, certain whistleblowers who have confessed in front of the American Congress that this aircraft is not safe. How do you reflect on these suspicions of this aircraft not being safe?
Trust me, 30 million hours flown, over 5 million flights, 1,100 aircraft across the world, from minus 50 degrees Celsius to plus 50 degrees Celsius. This aircraft has not had a single fatal accident. There couldn't be a bigger proof of it being a very, 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 very safe machine. 30 million hours means 3 crores hours that it has flown. Not a single loss. It's a very proven aircraft. And of course, but technical malfunctions can happen. But per se, this machine, this platform, has proven itself over last 15 years plus. So I don't think it's right to point this thing out. But post all investigations, the fleet does go a rethinking. If we could have probably done it better, does not mean what we are doing it wrong, but there must be a better way out. And we are in the speculative zone. For all we know that, the birds were ingested in both the engines and engines were not producing power, and there is nothing that a pilot or the aircraft or the manufacturer or training could have done to have a second outcome than what it happened right now.
So what do you think this means for Air India now? An airline which has been in trouble for a number of reasons now. There is also a, theory coming in that the government is going to look at the safety standards that Air India has been following. Where do you stand on what does this mean for Air India?
Look, Air India was trying to recover itself from where it was, and the commercials of the airline were looking to probably perform better, because what happens is that, when you cut short on various safety measures, training measures, you choose penny. An airline, an accident of this kind can take down the entire airline, not just the profitability of 1 year, for last 20 years. That is the kind of loss that an airline suffers. Insurance companies would pay out almost 1,000 to 1,500 crore rupees because of this loss. Air India, which does maybe 250 crore rupees of insurance every year, will now add up a premium which could even go above 300 crore rupees. Okay, so it is colossal. But I don't think that any of these contributed to this accident, because this accident is something which is so bizarre that we are not able to put two and two together. And number one thing being why the landing gear was down. And if we know why it was down, then everything would be clear.
And so what about reinstating flyer confidence in the airline industry once again? In the last 48 hours or 24 hours since this accident took place, cancellations and the confidence that people have had in airlines has taken a beating. What would you want to say on that?
Yeah, so we have a very large percentage of our aviation passengers who are also aviation anxiety related people, and for them 24/7 coverage of this accident and every mechanics of the accident and then recalling would make them anyway much more anxious in flight, and it will take some time for people to get over it. Okay. Coming to the safety of the airline, it remains the most safe way of transporting human beings from place A to place B. Imagine this aircraft, 30 million hours it has flown without an accident of this kind. It's a very, very, very safe machine. And for that matter, in about the same amount of time, 242, 265 people lost in an aircraft accident. And look at the road accident. I think we lose 200 and 300 people every day on road accident. Every day within India. No, we are not going out anywhere. Every hour we lose 5 to 10 people in road accident. That is the comparison we are doing. In a decade, 265 versus every day 265 in road accident. So that's the statistics. But the enormity of the whole tragedy is that it will continue to be in our memory, haunt us, whether pilots or the passengers, and those who have lost their loved ones is also going to be very harsh. I would also request your fraternity not to use the word pilot error at any point of time, like we use the word human error, because when you say human error, then the human as it was designed by the God has failed.
So we're not going to use anything which has not been verified or proven or has